if you want to grow and be more successful, then I would highly recommend it. I love learning what I learned from you, but I'm not going to go out and try to like reinvent the wheel and figure it out on my own. Like I would like to work with someone who can share with me that information that you've learned and the information that, or the things that you've learned and implemented throughout your career. I learned those from you, and then I continued growing from there.
Okay, Stephanie. So share with us, what's your business? And I want to say businesses because you have multiple businesses, family-owned business, personal business. So share with everyone what's your businesses and what do you do?
So I own a barbershop and a salon, and two different entities there. And then I also, my husband's family owns a large dairy here in Colorado. And then we also are in the process of building and starting a new golf course in our community.
And then give me kind of the revenues with each business.
So my barber shop, I would say we're at about a $500,000. And then with the golf course, to be honest with you, don't know because we haven't started, but the goal and the intent on that is going to be a couple $1,000,000 is the hope and the goal that we're shooting towards when we get started.
And then the dairy farm is huge.
Dairy farm is huge. That's a whole nother beast. And it's yeah, I stay out of that. That's my husband's business, so I stay out of that one.
You just sprinkle your fairy dust. So share with us, because we're primarily working with the barbershop and then working on the golf course, on another project, putting the plan together. So share with us where you were before and then where are you now inside of growing and working together with us.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just really implementing SOPs across the board. So implementing systems, a strategic plan for my business to really understand where I'm going and what our goals are and what our intent is. Because prior to working with you, I had no plan. I was just winging it and hoping that things would turn out the way that I wanted them to. But, I wasn't really, I wasn't even documenting, what were my goals? What was the plan? Where were we going? How are we going to get there? And so just really being strategic. That's the word that I would use, is being strategic on where we're going, what we're doing, and how we're going to get there.
And so before we gave you the SOPs and before we started working with you, what was your process like in figuring out what you needed to do and how you do it?
Honestly, it didn't really have one. That was the biggest problem, as I didn't know what I didn't know, and trying to figure out, you would have some things not working and it's like, well, why is it not working? Well, I really don't know. I just didn't know. And so I was, as a small business owner, I was really looking for a way to, um, when I started my business, I was just winging it. And then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to be strategic about this. I wanted to set my business up for whether I want to sell it, whether I want to continue, but I wanted to set it up for success to ultimately sell my business. And so I was looking for someone to start working with that I could learn how to do things better and be more strategic and implement systems so that I could rinse and repeat, so that I could and ultimately as a small business owner, my goal is to, in a barbershop setting, was to open up other locations. Well, I didn't want to open up other locations until I really made sure that this one was solid and operating the way that I wanted it to, and have the success that I knew the potential success that I knew I could have.
And how has your processes changed since we started working together?
Just tenfold. I mean, just really, um, it's putting in all that extra effort up front so that, you get that minimal return. But then it's like the systems that we have implemented, the things that we have spent the time to create, now it's a breeze. It flows. It's easy. It's simple. It takes that effort and that time up front, but then once you implement it, it flows so much better, and it's consistent and it works. Obviously there's still things that you have to tweak, and as time, things change and evolve, but you put that effort in up front and then those things just work. So we still have so much more to do because there's so much to do always, but the things we have started have just been phenomenal.
So let's talk about the golf course a little bit because you guys are putting a plan together. You have a strategic alliance with a different consulting firm. Why did you think you needed me to support you in building that piece of your business?
Because what I've seen with my barbershop, what I've taken from the growth that I've had internally with my barbershop, what I would consider a much smaller business, we're investing into this larger entity. And one of the things that I noticed that we were missing, because we are working with another consulting firm, but that's more specific on how to operate a golf course, if you will, which is great. That's helpful. But what I felt and what I saw that we were missing was that solid business plan and really understanding what it is that we need, really understanding what it is, what direction are we going, what is our end goal, how are we going to get there? We have an entity where you have multiple partners, and so making who don't always see eye to eye, which is fine, but making sure that as a group we come together and we define what does this need to look like, what is our end goal, so we all get there. So we're all on the same page. We have a we have this other consulting firm that helps with the golf side of it. We're going to be inactive owners, if you will. We won't be active in the day-to-day operations. We'll have a GM running the golf course. And so we as owners, should say the owner group, they need to have a plan for where they're going, how they're going to get
You've
there.
already made a substantial investment without a plan, right? So, we're in the millions. And so how do you see this will give you clarity?
You invest so much into something, and I would hate to see that fail or not succeed to its full potential because we don't have a plan and we don't know where we're going or what we're doing.
So let's talk about time commitment, right? Because people always like, I don't have time to do what you're asking, Susie. I don't have time to. Let's talk about that. And then what has been the time commitment during the collaboration? And then what responsibilities do you have? And then what's been taken off your plate because you've worked so diligently to implement?
Yeah. So implementing new systems and going through and making those systems work for you and your entity. Um, it does require more upfront, but once you put in that work, the amount of time that gets freed up on the other end is amazing because it just flows. Things are happening without you being there. Things are happening without you constantly having a hand in it or being involved in it or being a part of it. And so, even, just training, training people once you get them trained and once they're set to handle the task, whatever that task is, or whatever the operation is, or the system, or whatever it is. Basically, they once you put that work in up front, then it frees you up to do other things.
And then based on your results so far, where do you see your business in the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, ideally, for me, I mean, my goal in the next 6 to 12 months is to acquire other locations.
Oh, juicy, juicy.
Well, I should say that was my 2025 plan until I got pulled into this golf course project.
But the great thing is everything that you've learned, right, in the barber industry and the salon industry is transferable, right? You understand what's missing now versus, what wasn't missing. We didn't know what we didn't know. I think that's powerful in itself to go, oh, this is duplicatable.
Years ago, I was like, oh, I'm just a barber. And I'm like, screw that. Like,
Right.
business is business. I don't care what you're selling, what you're serving, what you're doing. At the end of the day, business is business is business. So understanding the concepts and everything that I've taken, what I will say is everything I've taken in my owning of a barber shop is transferable into owning a golf course or owning anything else that we want to get into. And so, as that's where my expertise has come in. And so my husband's family has, my husband brought me on to start helping. And then I've taken on so much of this role because at the end of the day, business is business. And this is really at the end of the day too, specifically this golf course, we're serving people.
Right.
just serving them differently than cutting their hair, but we're still serving people. We're still creating an experience. We're still, it's all the same across the board.
It scares me that they don't have, a plan in place to be the roadmap, right? To go, wait, how are we going to serve them? Because it's such a, not a higher level, but a higher level of service, right? When you look at the caliber of individual that comes to a golf course, right? They expect something different. There's an expectation of high level the minute you walk in versus the expectation of walking to a barber, the expectation of walking into a dairy farm, right? Different expectation, which is a completely different skill set. What surprised you the most about the results you've got from working with us?
Just the capabilities of growth. I mean, really, the sky is the limit. I mean, we've just dabbled into a little bit, but we have so much more potential, which is really exciting because the success that I had prior was just it just was what it was. There was no strategic plan, there was no rhyme or reason as to how we got there. And at the end of the day, I couldn't really step back and say like this is why we're here. This is what we've done to get here. There was none of that. So now it's like, okay, I can really say that where we've gotten is because we've implemented this, this, and this, and then we can then look back and say, okay, well, this worked. This is the result we got. Well, we did this, but it didn't really give us the results we wanted. So what can we do to adjust it or to change it or to um, implement something new? And so just so much more measurable results. That's
Yeah.
probably what it has been for me.
And then if someone's on the fence about working with us or going into our programs, what would you tell them?
If you want to grow and be more successful, then I would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Because you've done all the legwork. Like
Right.
I don't want to go and I love learning what I learned from you, but I'm not going to go out and try to like reinvent the wheel and figure it out on my own. Like I would like to work with someone who can share with me that information that you've learned and the information that or the things that you've learned and implemented throughout your career. I learned those from you and then I continue growing from there.
Any
Because
final thoughts you want to share?
mm, I'm just honored to have met you and grateful that I've had the opportunity to work with you. So thank
Me
you.
too, girl. Me too. Let's make some money, honey.